Did you know the Despia archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh! Mirrors the real-world revival of theater in the West? The Despia are an antagonistic Yu-Gi-Oh! Archetype named as a combination of the word despair and thespian. As the name suggests, the Despia are based on various Western theatrical performances with names that reference real-life theatrical traditions. Some are obvious like tragedy and comedy, others are a bit more obscure like ad libitum and proscenium. But one, Despian Quaeritis, was completely lost on me. Not only did I have no idea how to read the name, I had absolutely no clue what Quaeritis even was. So let's figure that out. Despian Quaeritis is a reference to the Quem Quaeritis, Latin for whom do you seek, and more importantly, a medieval religious performance depicting the climactic moment before Jesus' resurrection. Acted out by members of the clergy, the exchange would go as following. 3 women approach an angel seated before Christ's tomb. The angel would question, "Whom do you seek in the sepulchre, O followers of Christ?" Followed by the woman's response, "Jesus of Nazareth, the crucified, O heavenly ones." Then the angel would command, "He is not here, he is risen, just as he foretold. Go, announce that he has risen from the sepulchre." Interestingly, the Quem Quaeritis was responsible for resurrecting theater in the Western world. But wait, what do I mean by resurrecting theater? When did theater die? Going a few centuries back, Western theater originated from and flourished under ancient Greece. But this era of prosperity wouldn't last. Transitioning to Roman rule, theater would be dismissed in favor of newer, sensationally violent forms of entertainment, like gladiator battles. Things wouldn't get much better going into the Constantinian shift, as Christians mandated theater and those associating with it to be excommunicated as sinners. As a final nail in the coffin, invading tribes would destroy theatrical records, effectively killing off theater for centuries to come. It is with this backdrop that the Quem Quaeritis enters the scene. In the 10th century, as a way to spice up their Easter service, the church would perform the enacted exchange of the moments before the resurrection of Christ. While short and simple, many scholars attribute the revival of theater to this exchange. The Quem Quaeritis would become incredibly popular, spreading throughout Europe and evolving into various religious performances. Eventually, the church alone could not satiate the public's appetite for theater, and this religious phenomenon would expand into the secular realm once more, becoming mystery plays, Shakespeare, interactive theater, and much more. So where does that leave Despian Quaeritis? Despian Quaeritis, much like its real-life counterpart, plays an integral part in a ritual to unleash the full potential of the theater-inspired Despia. The Despia story begins with Dogmatika Maximus. Maximus is the self-appointed leader of the religious Dogmatika nation. Despite his holy stature, Maximus secretly harbors sinister ambitions of ruling the continent by reviving the old gods of calamity. In order to achieve this resurrection, he amasses faithful followers, willing to lay down their lives for his crusade. However, one of the holy maidens, Ecclesia, and her sworn protector, Fleur de Lis, disobey and run away. Spurred by this treachery, Maximus casts a corrupting spell onto his followers, disfiguring them into the mindless monsters known as the Despia, and appoints a new holy maiden, Quem, to replace Ecclesia. Seeing the corruption caused by Maximus, Fleur de Lis returns to fight the Despia and strikes down Maximus. However, this was just an illusion, a trap set by Quem and her partner Despian Quaeritis. Fleur de Lis engages in a fierce battle, but becomes fatally wounded against Quem and Quaeritis. Ecclesia comes to Fleur de Lis' aid, but she is too late. Quem takes advantage of Ecclesia's distraught state and consumes Ecclesia's soul as fuel for a final union between the souls needed to awaken the old gods. Quem and Quaeritis finally realize Maximus's ambitions and usher in the Despian age of calamity. At least, it would have if the Despia were the protagonist of this story. Opposing forces set aside their differences and unite under the goal of bringing down the Despian threat. A fierce battle ensues, and despite the combined might of Quem Quaeritis, the joint forces land a decisive blow against the Despia, sealing their victory. Just like with theater in real life, the promised revival of the Despia was never meant to be achieved by the Church. From this story, there are striking parallels between the real-life and fictional Quem Quaeritis. Both versions were created by the Church to expand the Church's influence, with both succeeding admirably. In reality, the Quem Quaeritis popularized theater enough to revive it as an art form, while the fictional Quem Quaeritis gathered enough power to restore the Despia to its former glory. Furthermore, in reality, the Church was but a stepping stone for theater's prosperity, and as we are about to discover, the Church was just a means to an end for Despia's revival as well. In the aftermath of Maximus's crushing defeat, a mysterious figure appears on the battlefield. As he retrieves the remains of Quem Quaeritis, he murmurs to himself, "How boring for a story to play out as planned." Maximus was nothing more than a puppet, obliviously playing his part in a grander scheme. With the Despia's power finally in the hands of the puppet master, the stage is set for the true reign of Despia to commence.